Hey guys, Kyle here. So, just before the show starts, I wanted to mention our Patreon. You can pay us $1 a month as a thank you, as a tip. You can pay $2 a month to get access to one of our bonus content shows, episodes 2 days early, and a secret Discord chat where all of our Patreon donors get to go and hang out and talk with us directly. Then there's a $5 tier that you can donate to get access to a whole bunch more content. We have multiple bonus episodes on there, so please check it out. Patreon.com/itgetsweird. We don't advertise, we don't make money, so check it out and throw us some money if you think that would be cool. Thanks.
Welcome to It Gets Weird, our comedy show where we explore the unusual, the unbelievable, and the unexplained to try to make your world a little weirder. I'm Nile.
And I'm Kyle. And Nile, this week, I wanted to kick off the podcast with a little game. You want to play a game with me? Hey,
I want to play a game.
Yeah, it was Jigsaw. Oh, I want to play a game. He's like a weird old man, right? I've never seen past the first movie.
Yeah, you see him at the end of the first. He's actually the guy in the pig mask, I think, in that movie.
Sure. Spoilers.
But he then will eventually be well, if you want the actual spoilers, he's laying in the room at the beginning of throughout the whole movie. But I think the pig mask comes later. Anyway,
how many of those have you seen?
I've
only seen the first one. Okay. So you're much better equipped to pull some shit.
I had a moment. Okay, here I'll just
Saw-averse.
Whatever. I had a moment where I was thinking about doing Saw as like one of my I'm going to watch all of the movies in the franchise thing. And I came to the realization that while I do like the first one and like the other ones to some degree, I'm not sure Saw is quite my franchise. Like I think it still might happen eventually. It's on the long list, but it got knocked off the top of the short list. And I find some of the ridiculousness of the kills interesting, but I don't always find the actual act of watching them in full to be as satisfying.
It does feel a little bit to me. I swear I'm going to make you play a real quick game after this, but
sure.
It sort of to me lacks the the pizzazz of other long-running horror franchises. You know, like it almost feels a little bit like it's trying to do a Final Destination vibe, but in a have a less interesting sort of what framework for how people die. I don't know.
It's like it's more interesting than a lot of people want to give it credit for, but it's also less interesting than a lot of its fans want to give it credit for, and so I kind of fall very on a middle ground with Saw, where it's like I'm not really mad at them. I would watch more of them, but and I may watch the entire series and change my tune someday. But so far, it's a franchise that I want to like more than I do.
Sure.
And that's about as far as I've gotten with
it.
So what's your game?
Yeah, just like the Saw traps, if you do not guess correctly in this game, you will be put through various tortures.
Oh shit! Okay.
So a lot's riding on this, Nile. I have here 2 Magic the Gathering cards in my hand. I find myself flicking the cards around compulsively. It's my, I believe the kids say stim. I sort of stim out. I stim the fuck up with these cards here. And I wanted to play a game. You're going to guess, based on the title, the names of these 2 cards, their general vibe. Are they a creature? Are they like an instant or sorcery? I wanted to actually throw these at you because I found these cards really funny. And this first card, very appropriate for the Saw thing that we did up front. Nile, what kind of card? Is it a creature, an instant, a sorcery, or an artifact? What card do you think Withering Torment is?
I feel like if it was the obvious, obviously my brain goes to like an instant or a spell. You're casting the spell of Withering Torment on somebody. It makes them wither and be in torment. But by the
Yeah.
very fact that you're asking me this, I believe that there has to be some sort of subversion.
Interesting.
So I'm going to go ahead and go with, much like a good improv thing. It's you gotta jettison the first thought.
No,
because it's the obvious
and you gotta say
one,
yes.
and you gotta latch on to the second thought.
Yeah, and you have to say yes no matter how stupid you think the shit is. You
Mm-hmm.
just say yes, right? And you keep going forward
and.
with it. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to say that I'm going to say it's an artifact because the withering thing never leaves. Withering agony is always there, and it will always be there.
That's it's funny that you thought I was trying to trick you. It's actually an instant speed. It's an instant spell, and it destroys enchantments and makes your opponent lose life. So
Okay.
That's sort of interesting. Now this one's a little easier. I've always found the existence of these cards in the game very funny, and it's got a little bit of a vibe related to our podcast to it in a way.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think the Silverback Shaman is? Actually, can you tell me what type of spell, and what do you think its creature type is? Oh shit! I just gave it away.
I was going to say so a creature is a spell because I was going to assume it was a creature.
Is a type of spell. Okay. What do you think its creature type is? I accidentally gave it away.
I mean, it sounds like it's going to be like a big gorilla, so it would be like a forest, whatever the green is.
Sure. Well, that's not a creature type. Well, there is a creature type that's a forest as well, but it is in fact an ape shaman. I'm showing you the
sure
the image now.
It kind of does what it says on the tin. It's a silverback shaman. It's an ape shaman.
I actually in the other room have. Oh my god! I want to say the card is called Stalking Yeti, and then I have another one that looks like Bigfoot, and I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but.
Quick question back at you.
Yeah.
When are there how many creature types are there?
Oh my god, there's so many.
Okay, so it's not like this is one of the fun things where I just don't know enough about Magic to fully guess. I thought that I was guessing from 10, but no, that's just a way they use to describe the specific card, not categorize them on a larger scale. Okay.
And other cards do interact with creature type. I'm not going to sit here and explain Magic rules or anything, but some creature types are more relevant than others, and I'll tell you right now, ape and shaman is not super relevant. But I do love that this is an ape shaman. I love that it exists. There's actually there's a lot of ape creatures in the game.
Are there
or not?
Are there any other creatures with the creature type ape shaman?
That's a great. I can actually find that out if you really want me to find that out. But I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Off the top of my head, I doubt ape and shaman has a ton of crossover, but it also could be a thing. Here, I'll tell you in just.
I'm sure
momentarily.
What
okay.
crossover comic? What crossover set has some ape shaman from a Disney Channel original show?
Disney, I don't think will happen because Disney has Lorcana now. That's their own game.
Oh, sure.
So just make note of that. Remember that. But I will also tell you that I think one of the next stupid fucking crossover things is going to be like a Marvel thing or whatever, Star Trek or something. I don't give a fuck anymore. The game's dead to me. How many ape shamans do you think there are, Nile? Because you've seen one of them.
Yeah.
How many do you think there are? Because I just looked it up and I know exactly how many ape shamans there are in the game of Magic the Gathering.
I'm going to guess 3.
There are exactly 3 ape shamans in the game of Magic the Gathering, and I must say they all kind of give off a little bit of a cryptid vibe. If people want to look it up, it's we've got Silverback Shaman, Gorilla Shaman, and Silverback Elder. So, anyways, you survived my game, although you did fuck up on the Withering Torment thing. So I'll need you to take a Live Strong band and just slap it against your wrist. Or something like that.
I can do
punishment.
that. I think I've got a hair tie around here somewhere. I'll make it work.
Yeah, well, you can do it later and off camera. I don't need to know. So
I'm going to post that exclusively on the Patreon. We're going to start doing punishments on the Patreon.
We're
punishment tier.
Yeah, we're gonna be posting punishment tiers content, and we'll be cross posting to from Patreon and FetLife. That's the one.
Sure.
So you can now find our podcast on there as well.
Yeah, look, I mean, if we're gonna be hosted on FetLife, we do need to bring back
Well, we're already on Pornhub.
the sexual
Yeah.
what was it? Send your kinks to Kyle or whatever it was.
Oh,
We got to bring it back.
I don't remember that, and no, we don't.
All right.
So, what the fuck? What the fuck are we doing this week?
So we couldn't stay away too long. I am kind of doing a return already to a recent topic, but through a different lens. This is an idea I had. I was talking to Jules about a week ago, and I brought up the fact that I mentioned that I was doing episode 500 at my work, and some people there.
There's your first mistake.
Some people have listened to the show. Most people are aware I do it, and I get random questions and stuff. And Jules also has a coworker that occasionally has brought up some conspiracy theories. So this led me to kind of think about a loose news series that I have to start at least one loose news series every 100 episodes, or else I do wither and die in withering torment.
Mm-hmm.
So
the way you were saying that, it sounded like you were saying loose noose. Not which sort of defeats the purpose of a noose.
I mean, doesn't it? Wouldn't a loose noose isn't, or is it too tight? I don't know. At one point, I knew that because of a book that I was reading, like what happens if the rope's too long, too short, and if the noose is too tight or not tight enough, and like some of them are like drowning, and some of them are like just a more painful version of the death, and some don't kill you at all; they just really fucking hurt. But I don't remember what that is anymore. So there you go.
Cool. Hey,
today,
good
Kyle,
info
I want
for
to
anybody who needed that.
Today, I want to introduce the concept of coworker conspiracies.
Okay,
you've heard of coworker movies, you've heard of coworker music. Today, we're doing coworker conspiracies. So what this means, loosely to me, is I want actually at the top of this, if any of my coworkers ever listen to this, none of this is a dig on anybody. And I will explain this why not in just a second here.
I don't know.
You're giving me episodes of this show, and I love it.
I don't know any of these coworkers, so can I, talk some shit, or like is that cool,
I mean, feel free.
Okay, I don't know you, but I bet you're fucking. You're stupid or whatever. Yeah. Sorry.
It's fun when we get to realize how little of like a bully Kyle is in his real life when he tries to do it on this show, because there's just nothing there.
Hey, coworkers from Nile's coworkers, if you're listening, fuck you, idiot. You're stupid. I'm sorry, and I'm just kidding.
All right. So What I have found that is interesting is most of the coworker conspiracies that I've been met with are not things that I hear talked about in the actual conspiracy community. They're things that kind of are a different take on a thing, or a thing that has been kind of long dismissed by the conspiracy community. And why that is because people are getting these things from places such as the one that we're going to talk about today. Somewhat rose to prominence in certain circles through doing an interview on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Here's the thing that's interesting about this to me right off the bat is in 2026, and for a few years now, the longitudinal reach of conspiracy, it's breached containment, I guess. There have been people who have been aware of the bigger things in conspiracy theory, like JFK and all that, but it's breach containment in a way where people know about weird niche things that there may be one of like 100 people who have heard this quote unquote theory, and there's also just the fact that there's tons and tons of just, I don't know whether I like the word theory for what I'm about to describe, but just people making up conspiracy or conspiracy adjacent stuff and putting it out into the world. So now everybody knows, and a good chunk of the population are into it, just not into it in the way that a person like 20 years ago who was a conspiracy theorist was into it. You know what I mean? It's a different sort of mouthfeel.
And like the kind of stuff that breaches containment is there are some things like people will ask me about, when something new comes out, the declassification of alien documents and stuff like that. They'll ask
get me started
about all of those things. They'll ask about, and like that led me to talk about a lot of that stuff. I actually recommended one of my coworkers Saucers, Spooks, and Kooks along with our episode on it.
Nice.
And they bought it. So
nice.
I got you guys a sale. I bet you're mad that you didn't give us a referral code yet.
We gotta hit up Adam Go Rightly. I mean, I literally could just message him right now. So maybe we'll find a way to make that work and just hit up Go Rightly.
But these people, these kinds of conspiracies, a lot of times come from other places, but they kind of circulate most in places where normal conspiracy theorists don't reside. Mm-hmm. This person specifically is an author that is like a best-selling author, has been on like ABC and stuff being interviewed, so today we're going to talk a little bit about Annie Jacobsen and specifically her book on Roswell, Area 51, an uncensored history of America's top secret military base.
I know this name.
She got recently, like in the past couple years, has become kind of popular for this theory. This book kind of rose her to prominence, and she's put out like 5 books since then on various other topics that we'll briefly cover that as well.
Curious what she'll be saying, because I do know this person a little bit, and I looked them up, and I'm curious what you'll be talking about here with regards to Mrs. Jacobsen.
I'm very curious what you know about them, because do you know stuff about the Roswell stuff, or is
not
it
specifically,
her
just
at large?
Just her.
Okay, yeah. Because there's some things to talk about here, and a couple I don't have a full grand unifying theory on her place in the conspiracy world yet, but there are a couple things that make me a little curious about her, and not only because she is pretty heavily involved with the Jack Ryan series, which is like one of the current biggest pieces of like CIA propaganda machinery in moving image.
Sorry, I thought you were going to say pieces of shit.
I mean, that
but I guess
too.
you kind of said it already.
That too. Look, I don't give a shit about accuracy to the book. I like the Tom Cruise Jack Ryan movie, and it's one of I can't really bring it up around my mom because she reads like all of those books, that kind of book and mystery stuff. Like she goes through the library like nobody's business.
I'm thinking of Jack Reacher again. I feel like I've made this exact mix-up before.
No, Jack Ryan is Jim Halpert.
Jack Reacher's Jim Halpert, right?
No, Jack Reacher is
Jack Ryan
the big buff fucking
whatever. It's all the
whatever
same.
His name is. Yeah.
So wait, Jim Halpert is that one also pisses me off because I also hate him. Sorry.
Yeah, Jack Ryan is a Tom Clancy guy, and Jack Reacher is somebody else. I don't know Jack
Jim
Reacher
Halpert's
well. This is Jack
name.
Ryan.
That fucking I can't stand that guy.
I don't know. Whatever his fucking name is, I forget at this point, and it's not really required here. Do you ever just think about the fact that he sold like the concept of doing smiley face news?
I was
for,
about
like,
to bring this
more
up.
money than you will ever see. It's oh my god.
Yes, Nile, and that is. I think that's when I snapped on him. Oh, okay, no, it was that movie that your wife and I went to go see.
A Quiet Place.
A Quiet Place. That's where I snapped on him, and that just permanently made him an enemy in my mind. And if I see him, bleep what I'm about to say. You're gonna want to bleep what I'm about to say.
Sure.
Okay. It's on site.
Yeah.
Frankly.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Unlike on hearing, like the movie.
You know what? What's the guy's name? Ted Kaczynski? Jim
the
Halpert's?
Unabomber?
Oh, sorry.
Oh.
I got him confused again. The guy who plays Jim Halpert, Krasinski.
Yeah, I forget his name. Whatever. John Krasinski.
John Krasinski. We've talked in the past about how I had a fixation on my disdain for Adam Sandler, and then I softened on that and realized the error of my ways. Jim Kaczynski is my new arch enemy for the officially from here on out. He is on my he is at the top of my fucking shit list. I'm just saying it.
I don't think anyone's worked harder to get there than he has. So I think it's really I think that's a worthy adversary.
Thank you. Although I did kind of like him in Smiley Face.
Oh, what?
The movie? Or what is it called? The Greg Araki film?
Oh, I haven't seen that one.
He's in it. I mean, he's kind of playing a loser in it, but that's just, they're just casting him. He's doing what he knows. So.
He plays Meryl Streep's like son or son, I think, along with 3 other ones who all like get in bed with her when they're like 35.
What?
In Something's Gotta Give, I think it's whatever the one is with Alec Baldwin and Steve Martin. It's one of those things where like if you just watch the movie, it doesn't really stand out to you, but then when someone points it out, like to show how close they are, they all just like cuddle in bed together at one point, and it's not like a long scene or anything, but it just is like it's one of those things that sticks out in my brain as like, what? That was an interesting choice to make.
Yeah, because you enjoyed it so much. It was so memorable for you.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty fun movie. It's not a bad movie. I just think he's kind of bad in it, but
sure.
that's neither here nor there.
Par for the course.
Annie Jacobsen, multi-time author, wrote I think like 3 episodes and was like involved as a producer for multiple seasons of Jack Ryan. But that all comes because of the work she did in her books. She started as an author. Her first book was a book called Terror in the Skies: Why 9/11 Could Happen Again, written in 2005. That one doesn't get talked about nearly as much. A lot of people consider it like kind of pick up with her on Area 51 and Uncensored History of America's Top Secret Military Base, which is the main thing we're going to be talking about today. Because it is... Okay, I have not read all of her books. I've read excerpts of especially this one. And a lot of what she does is pretty decent compilation of facts. Like, she doesn't... I don't want to like outright say that all of her books have to be trash or anything, because I have not read them, and from what I can tell, largely they are decent,
not a deep analysis,
facsimiles that are a very surface level coverage of whatever the subject is. Subjects such as Area 51, Operation Paperclip, DARPA, the secret history of the UFOs, investigations into extrasensory perception and psychokinesis, the secret history of the CIA, which I have heard is that's the one that really... This is
the one that I kind of heard about. I saw people posting
surprise,
about
kill,
her.
vanish.
Yeah, talking about her as, this is not me lending credence to this train of thought, but the way I heard her talked about is that she was, that her writing on the CIA was bad, and that people think that she might be some sort of asset. I don't necessarily agree. I haven't read her stuff, but this is how I saw some of the more paranoid online people talk about this lady. So that's
this is the thing that I will. That is the thing that I kind of hinted at earlier, is that there is absolutely no confirmation of this. There is no anything like. I don't want to put this out as an actual theory, but there are certain things about her, the topics that she chooses to pursue, and the stuff that people that I've read about how she touches on those things, that make her interestingly placed to be an effective disinformation agent. And I'm not making any actual claim to that matter, but it's a thing that was in my brain while doing a lot of this research. So she started out as she wanted to be like a fiction author to begin with, I believe. At least that's how a lot of what her bios and stuff will talk about. And then one of her writing instructors, I think in college, was like, you should try writing about real things. And so she kind of pivoted into investigative journalism. And that kind of started her... she found her way of being a good storyteller in that, it seems, is kind of the story here. Because the people that like her books, from reviews I've read and from people who talk about them, she's pretty good at spinning a narrative. She's pretty good at kind of piecing facts together with enough like sources where that's available to kind of weave a pretty consistent narrative and kind of tell a story well. Then there are these places that, like, in the one thing with the Area 51 book that we're going to be talking about is she posits a full-blown theory for what happened at Roswell that she claims was given to her by an unnamed source that stayed unnamed officially until 2024, but people had figured it out before then, and we're going to talk about that. I saw her, man. I watched the clip of her divulging the source on a podcast, I believe, and it is she really loves it. She really comes off as loving having a secret. You know, the people that just really delight in like, I'm on some insider thing that you aren't.
Yeah.
So I've only watched a couple clips of her,
like Bill Clinton.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So I you know what? I'm going to wait until you talk about this to share my thoughts, because I have some anticipation of what go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, she rose to prominence off this book. Really kind of got her known, the Roswell book. And ever since then, she's been basically a bestseller for the most part. Her most recent book is on a minute-by-minute... Now, okay, I have a little beef with the descriptions of her most recent book. It is a minute-by-minute breakdown of what she thinks would happen on a geopolitical stage when nuclear war starts. And it's covering a time period. It's called Nuclear War, a Scenario. A lot of places posit this as a nonfiction account, and I don't know how something explaining a future event can be nonfiction. Yeah. And that is like, there's something to that makes me, that kind of ekes at something that I feel in how people talk about a lot of her books in general, is like she's put out there as this kind of arbiter of like investigative journalism, when she seems like she's a bit more of a storyteller. And like, in that stuff comes out of investigating these events, but it's a lot of I don't know. It doesn't.
Let me.
It feels like there's a removal from that. You know.
Let me throw this at you. Is storytelling not investigative journalism in 2026, Nile? Is that not where we're at?
I mean, there you go. She, like, that really is the thing. Is like, she is a very modern take on investigative journalism in that way. In a way that speaks to a lot of people right now. Like, a lot of people really, she sells a lot of fucking books. Like, I would not be surprised if her books appear in airports. That's the level that we're kind of dealing with here. They are almost always on sale on Kindle. I will say that.
Sure.
I knew the names of most of her books before I knew who she was.
Interesting.
So, her theory on Roswell, to put it simply, is that the crashed vehicle was actually a appropriated flying wing from Germany that was sent by Stalin using modified 13-year-old children by Joseph Mengele, and that was then dropped out of a mothership up near Alaska to float and crash intentionally near Roswell. And it was all a psyop by Russia.
This lady's so fucking sus. This is...
Yeah.
That is some horse shit right there.
Oh, Joe Rogan loved it.
I'm sure he did. Joe Rogan's a fucking moron. He's so dumb. Of course he loved it. And now, Jesus Christ.
This and the more you look into the theory and like the way people discuss it and everything, the more the like I don't want to go back to this too often, but the more
I've
the
heard about this,
disinformation
by the
thing
way.
feels so, because she ropes in real things like the Horton flying wings. That is like a kind of contentious thing. There is a Horton flying wing hanging in the Smithsonian right now. And there were reports that the one other, like, that we had access, but like that doesn't fully match up with what I still think the stuff we talked about in the Roswell episode in 500 is more likely, but there is something interesting that is a theory based off of the same information as this that makes a lot more sense to me that I will get into later. So let's just talk more about a little bit about the details of this, so that we can kind of unpack them as we go.
You said she divulged her source?
Yep, I know who her source is, and I've got information about him from the UFO community.
Oh, fuck! That's also a bad sign. Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So, like, yeah. Okay. Well, let's just because a lot of the stuff in this book, most of the book is not spent on this theory. This theory is kind of seeded early on in the book, and then it is laid out in, I think, the final chapter of it.
Now, sorry, I want to ask a quick question. Mm-hmm. This is a conspiracy theorist that your coworker would die on the hill over? Like, they believe in it completely and utterly? Like, this is...
Not fully believe it, just think it is an interesting theory that was worth looking into.
Okay.
And brought it up to me as something to talk about on the show.
Sounds
and I
like
said, this is the same coworker that I showed Saucer Spooks and Kooks, and I think that might have changed the trajectory of it just a little bit.
Okay, I'm sorry. They're cool now. I
love you. So, this, a lot of the stuff that she puts in the book is out there. It is stuff that has been readily available in the UFO community and on the internet for a long time. The like hook of this book was this kind of previously heretofore unrevealed theory that she got from a single source that is unnamed and has never revealed this theory before.
Just to be clear, I've heard this story before, but in the version that I saw of it, it was like like you were just sort of laying out there. It was not from this lady. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't children; they were dwarves.
Yeah, there's a specific disease that I forget the name of it that gets posited as it was children with this specific disease that he then tested on,
like the melon heads.
Yeah,
you remember the melon heads?
Oh, I do. God. That was really early. So yeah, it is. And this all was like. One of the things that she cites is like Stalin was trying to utilize a similar thing to like the widespread panic from the War of the Worlds radio drama, which is like, I feel like every couple years you hear the opposite between that's apocryphal and that actually really was a big deal. And I don't know where we are right now, but it's interesting that like she's saying Stalin was like swept up in that.
Well, okay. I mean, that sort of makes sense on its face, I guess, to be like, yeah, and it's the Cold War or whatever, or are we in the Cold War? Is that what we're talking about? And this is 19...
I mean, it's 47. So.
It is 47. So we are talking about when Roswell occurred, right?
Correct.
Okay, so it makes some sense, I guess, on its face. But my understanding, and I guess I could be wrong, is that the panic around War of the Worlds, quote unquote, happened just not on the scale that it gets talked about. Like it just like made an entire city almost burn to the ground. But it like did panic some people who like I think called into the radio station or something. It was not as big as people thought it was. That's my understanding. Open to being wrong. Maybe it didn't even happen at all, but this is what I remember hearing last.
Yeah, so. That was my last understanding of it as well. So we'll go with that for now. Yeah, so this whole thing was basically kind of had twofold goals. One, to create the panic, and two, to kind of test our what we would do, basically, on like a governmental level. They wanted to kind of seed discontent and like fear that either we believe it and think it's aliens and then we're freaked out that like some other cosmic beings exist, or they realize that it's something from a assuming another superpower such as Russia, and that causes fear of like our readiness for a wide scale attack on America. So that is the supposed theory.
This is also one of the this is also one of the ways that some of the more hard skeptic people will talk about the 1952 DC flyover. Is that it was sort of manufacturing some chaos to just see what would happen. And depending on who you talk to, it could have been the Soviets, and it also just could have been domestic, and the U.S. was just doing it to itself to see how their preparedness was, like what kind of, how people would react to it. So yeah, I've heard this before for a number of different events around this time.
Yet again, that is another thing where it's taking some truth from somewhere and throwing it into this story. So the only thing that we knew about her source in the book is that he was a former engineer at a defense contractor named EG&G, and he was brought in after the fact, not at the actual Roswell crash, but to deal with some of the materials that were taken off it when they were trying to reverse engineer stuff from it. So that is where he gets brought in the kayfabe of the book.
What did you pronounce kayfabe like that?
Sometimes you just do, you know.
You said kayfabe.
I do. Yeah, it's a fun time to play with words. Guard. Yeah. And I think honestly, one of my favorite details of this whole thing is that Stalin recruited Joseph Mengele, who was confirmed at the time in Argentina. I just if you were just gonna look, this isn't going to be very tactful, but if you're just going to cut up some children, you don't necessarily need to get the actual guy to do that, right?
Right. No, I don't think Mengele is sort of honestly maybe too high profile. So maybe you don't want to go to Mengele.
Yeah. So and then the other side of this thing that we haven't quite talked about yet is the actual craft itself. So I mentioned earlier the concept of the Horton flying machines, the flying wings. These were a pair of German brothers that were doing work in basically gliders and flying wings that got recruited into the German military to do this kind of stuff and kind of develop next generation aircraft. It's not so like the belief was that basically Stalin got one of those as well. He got the Hortons to give him get a flying wing, and
some
they
tidbits.
Modified it into what we then get as the UFO. Which it's funny looking at when I was doing the Roswell episode a couple times ago, I found an article I didn't go into too in depth where people tried to make a recreation of what the craft would have looked like. And when you put it with the flying wing, it's kind of funny looking at them side by side because, like, you could see how one becomes the other. Like, the flying wing part of it is the part that was most interesting to me in terms of the, like, lore of Roswell because, like, it was confirmed that we had one of them, I think, at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base at the time. And we'll get into more with that in a little bit. But, like, if there was some sort of craft that wasn't the balloon technology we talked about in Roswell, I think it might have been at least inspired by, if not an actual prototype of a flying wing in a way that is interesting.
Makes some sense looking at it now. Yeah, that does track, I guess.
Yeah. So, yeah, and they had been building these flying wings since about the 1930s. So they were not fully into production scale yet, like mass production yet. They were still being built by the brothers in their, I think, like a garage. But they like built one of the first like high-speed aircrafts in existence in this. Like they were very capable. And the Germans did have plans to try to make them mass-produced, I believe, but they just never, got there due to the whole Hitler shooting himself in the head thing. So, yeah, where was I? So basically, we've talked about the various components of this thing. That is basically the theory. It was all a test on the American public to see what would happen by the Soviets, to try to sow discontent, fear, etc. And it all came from this former engineer who had kind of secondhand work on the downed craft. So, how do we want to start unpacking this? Let's
Oh,
we'll go ahead and do this. So the theory that is alternate to this that I think is very interesting is actually no. Let's talk about the source first. The source is fun.
Yeah, that I've been kind of dying to hear who this source is.
Okay, so like I said, the book when the book came out, he was an unpublished. We just knew he was a former engineer at this at this defense contractor that we know had dealings with the government at the time. He was then found in. I think the people by the book came out in like 2014. By about 2016, the UFO community was pretty certain they knew who this guy was, and were writing articles. And hey, they were right. The guy's name is Alfred O'Donnell, and he was he did work at EG&G, which is the Edgerton, Germeshausen and Greer is the company. And they were a manufacturer for military stuff in that time period. They have ties to Broom Lake as well as Area 51, and are seemingly involved with developing top secret craft for the U.S. government. And part of the reasons that we know this is that they are involved with these military bases that were not actually known about to the public until like the 1990s, I think, where they have literally the world's longest runways, in at least the longest ones in the U.S. still. There might be somewhere that's beaten it since then, but like they have these like secretive things that were not seen on maps of runways commercially. They have like two of these at one location and one at Area 51. And the theory goes that basically America was testing an attempt at re-engineering the flying wing into some sort of long distance, kind of advanced aircraft. And that really long runway, if you plot it out on a map, is about 100 miles, I think about 100 miles, direct in like a straight line from the crash site at Roswell. And if you do the math, the amount of time it takes for the aircraft to launch off of that runway and get to full cruising altitude is about the right amount of time for them to travel that distance. And what people believe happened was that a test of one of these aircraft, the most common time for an aircraft to have an issue is takeoff and landing. And it's believed that basically something went wrong during the launch of one of these ships, and it crashed near Roswell. And so
now, would this have been one of the crafts that they had obtained and done work on, or had they tried to engineer their own version of it based off of one that they had? It was one that they'd gotten?
I believe that, okay, I'm not fully... no, it is one that they've reverse engineered. It's part of reverse engineering experiments to try to make them more... because, like, the flying wings were basically, like, a really good start. Like, they for what... If you were just trying to drop one and crash it, it could do that. But it couldn't fully, like, do long-distance stuff yet. Like, it was still kind of being developed. And we think that in kind of trying to reverse engineer the original and turn it into something that could be used for, I guess, military espionage reasons of some aspect, it would then crash in basically exactly where Roswell, the crash, took place.
So okay, it's a fun idea. Here's my thing. What just based on the recovered stuff from the Roswell crash, have people been able to be like, it's this part of the plane or something like that? Like,
I haven't seen that. No. This is just a fun theory that I found that is it feels more plausible that it was a CIA thing or a government thing than it does a Soviet thing to me.
Yeah, with dwarves or kidnapped kids or whatever.
Yeah.
By the way, folks, episode 500 if you want to know some more about Roswell. But I don't know. It's like I feel like you have to have the debris in the account to talk about throwing out any other theory, and one of the best ones. It's, I mean, I realize it's the official story, but like one of them does sort of take the debris and show, hey, here's this weird tape and stuff. Like,
yep.
I feel like you'd have to do that to make me
maybe the tape
feel
was
any
used
sort of
on
way.
Their flying wings.
Well, sure, yeah, but like, what about the thin metal or whatever? What about?
Oh, that they actually do have a thing about that. That is what they get referred to as the like mystery metal that was found at this thing that has like or memory metal.
It would sort of like bounce back when you crumpled it.
Supposedly, that also came from the reverse engineering. I believe it was German technology. Let me find this in my notes. Oh yeah, the runway is 32,000 feet long. It's a 6-mile long runway. That thing is it's fucking wild. It was a memory metal that had been there. There's like similar materials were trying to be made in the 1940s. Here we go. The memory metal was supposedly found on the crash site. Memory metal, like nitinol, was actually developed in the 1940s by Battelle and the Air Force in Oak Range National Laboratories. So supposedly the metal that was there is an actual material that was developed at a secret program in the 1940s. So it is plausible that it was used for this thing.
Never heard of that, but sure.
I haven't done a lot of digging on that particular fact of it, but that is the theory here. So back to the source, because the source is fun. Alfred O'Donnell, this guy does. So his credentials are basically do get backed up. He worked at that place at that time and probably dealt with something in the realm of Roswell debris or something like that. But what isn't true, or what I found in trying to do research on this guy, is that he supposedly has talked to various people throughout the eras. Notably, he gave a entirely different story to George Knapp. Vis-a-vis Roswell.
Coast to Coast AM current host, I think.
Correct.
No, he's no Art Bell. I'll say that much.
So this guy has supposedly, if you... I didn't have time to verify each one of these things, but supposedly this guy has talked to 3 or 4 different ufologists along with Annie Jacobsen and given different stories to all of them, including on interview one time, he left the room and his son was in the room. Or no, the interviewer left the room, but left the mic recording, and he was heard talking to his son about how he was lying to the reporter.
Oh shit! It's sort of it's another sort of balloon boy incident almost.
Yeah, he kind of balloon boyed himself.
He balloon boyed himself. He got Falcon Heenied.
the entire that's why to the UFO community, this entire theory is bunk, because they were able to locate who her source was, and that source had already fucked over his credibility in the UFO community.
So was O'Donnell just sort of some opportunistic guy trying to capture some attention to maybe convert that into money, I guess? Like, is that what this angle was? Like, what's...
Yeah, it's... I don't know the full angle with him. He could just be doing... Because, like, the way certain people in the UFO community talk about Jacobsen is that she went to him looking for a theory to help her sell the book.
Uh-huh.
And so this theory was concocted to be sensational.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know how true that is in terms of causality. I don't know if the theory came from Alfred O'Donnell and Jacobsen just took it on a single source, or if it was some working together thing. I don't know.
Hey, I got a magic card that sort of sums up my thoughts on Jacobsen.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're going to be able to read this. Can you read the name of that card?
Diversion specialist?
Yeah, that's what it's called. So I just
yeah,
thought that was appropriate.
I like it's funny how quickly the UFO community found this book and then set to just like fully taking it apart, because you can find articles that are pretty heavily guessing at the sourcing and getting it right like the year that the book came out. It
sounds thin to me.
Yeah, even outside of the UFO community, the people that a lot of people that read this go, that part is it all came from a single source. So how do we know? In interviews, she talks about how she is a long-term friend of Alfred O'Donnell that like knows his children and is like friends with the entire family. So they are close, and she trusts him implicitly, effectively. And I don't. Yet again, I don't know exactly what to do with that, because people say a lot of things in interviews, and that could very well be true. And if that is true, it could mean like 3 different things, Yeah. And I don't know how far to take that. So that is like a lot of. Okay, here let's just finish up with some stuff about what O'Donnell, like who O'Donnell, a little more on who O'Donnell is. He worked at this company very early on when there were only 15 people there. He worked with the company's founders to obtain secret clearance to work on the nation's nuclear arsenal, and he helped to develop explosives research protocols. So he was actually involved with our legitimate nuclear weapons developments. He optimized the firing systems of the bombs that were dropped in World War II. So this guy has some credence to that level, which is what makes him weirder as a source for conspiracy theory stuff, because he was kind of in the shit in a space that is not exactly what his theories are about, like he had a lot of nuclear knowledge and worked with the military and contractors and stuff and did all that, like has done those things, but he was like a nuclear guy, not an aliens guy.
Sure, but do you think that his contact with military, like through military contracts, is that relevant maybe to why he would be on the record with a pretty wild theory of Roswell?
It's possible, yeah. I don't really know. I read a couple short interviews with him where he got very cagey when asked about the books, the book and the theory. So I didn't get a lot of source stuff on Alfred O'Donnell, unfortunately. He's dead now, I believe. Which honestly I think was part of why she divulged the name of the source. So
I thought you were about to say, which honestly I think is good.
Man, you think I'm
sorry.
Cutting
I don't
today.
know. I don't know. I know. That's what I expected.
Yeah. And O'Donnell told Jacobsen that the stuff we know of as the tape, he actually does account for that. He says it was actually degraded Cyrillic writing that actually confirms its Soviet origins.
Oh my God! But wouldn't I feel like even degraded, you would have people who would recognize Cyrillics? That doesn't hold very well for me. I don't know.
No, it that's the thing, is like in reading more about this and looking at even like the idea that the craft was flown and crashed by an American program makes more sense, but still makes less sense than what the actual theory that we have going right now. But like a lot of the stuff that it has elements from other theories, like the flyover thing of sowing discontent and fear. It has the the testing, Mengele's testing on children, and him being being removed from Germany. It has a psyop by the USSR. Like, it has all these elements that come from other places and are kind of potent, and hand wave a lot of the kind of small things. And it leads to a very entertaining story that, if you poke any of it, deflates very quickly. And a lot of people just don't know how to poke it, And so it leads to this theory getting... And of course, Joe Rogan's not going to fucking poke it. So it's, he wants to believe anything. So it leads to this theory getting... a lot more traction in the a certain subset of the general population than it does even in conspiracy theory circles. And it's interesting to me. That kind of delineation always throws me into thinking about what the purpose of that would be.
Yeah.
And
yeah, and she was so the book came out in 2011, right?
Yeah.
But when did she go on the Joe Rogan podcast to talk about this theory?
I think when the paperback came out in 2016 or something.
Really? Okay. See, I think for me, and this is, I'm going to preface this by saying I'm not
and then
a
she's
fan...
been back on for the nuclear book as well. She has been a recurring
Right.
guest on Joe Rogan now.
I am not a fan of Putin or anything or whatever, but I also get a little suspicious when somebody like this has an aggressive anti-Russia message in their stuff. You know what I mean? There's something about that feels, I don't know if insincere is the right word, but it feels like it's sort of, maybe we're trying to prey on the psyche of the American people, while Russia's one of the big enemies of the world for America or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It just, there's so much about this that gives me this kind of unsettled, uneasy feeling, where a lot of it feels targeted at the moment and useful in ways that I don't...
Yeah,
I don't know what to do with.
It's hard to make any sort of direct, I get what you're saying, is what I'm saying. It's honestly the same way I feel when somebody like Lou Elizondo talks about stuff in the UFO space. I feel I get the same sinking feeling. It feels... insincere isn't the right word, but I guess that's a word for it. It feels cynical, very cynical.
Yeah,
and so does this, frankly. I kind of want to read the one that you mentioned that she wrote about DARPA and all that other stuff you were saying. I want to read it because I'm curious what she's saying about it, but.
I probably will read one of her books at some point, just because I feel like I should be... She feels like a figure I should be more aware of, and that was part of why I did this episode, just because, whether she is... for whatever reason she is in this, she is a large-sized voice in this world for the average person. I've seen her on panels talking about Iran currently. She is an active voice.
Christ.
And so I feel like I should be... I feel like I should read at least one of the books,
Yeah. Yeah, I think people like this deserve a swift response.
I'm glad that you just have Kyle, it's fun that you found a way to make a podcast soundboard be magic cards. Which is an even less auditorially satisfying concept.
But those who know.
Yeah.
And if we do provide that swift response, it'd better be a savage swipe.
Sure.
Because all these starseed fucking military industrial complex UFO whistleblower disclosure freaks who claim to be an evolution witness for humanity, they're going to turn me into a frenzied goblin. All magic cards, by the way. Check it out. Give it a Google.
Kyle, I'm going to tell you, you should try to make a deck out of ape shamans.
Ooh, that would be hard because you're only allowed 4 copies of each card. But I could try. I could try.
I mean, you can expand it outside of shamans, and it can go. But like ape shamans have to be prominently featured.
I can definitely make an ape deck and get back to you.
All right.
And that actually, will you play Magic with me if I make an ape deck and make you play it with me?
I don't know if I can commit all the way to that.
Oh, come on. What if it's fun?
But hey, if it's fun,
it's okay. I won't make you play Magic.
Anyway,
right. Yeah, this stuff all makes me feel bad.
Oh, I forgot. There is a button to all of this. This is just a wild ass thing. There's one other thing Annie Jacobsen is known for. And this took place in 2004. And this is literally on her Wikipedia page. She was on she supposedly tried to stop a quote dry run bombing attempt on an air flight that was just some musicians. So she like got a plane diverted because she suspected terrorism, and it was actually some Syrians who were booked to perform as backup musicians for a tour at a casino and resort near San Diego.
No. What?
Yeah. So
Jesus
according to federal
Christ.
air marshals who spoke to the press shortly after, Ms. Jacobsen overreacted to events. Yeah, so this is just like, this has absolutely nothing to do with her professional career. But she had she has this kind of notoriety as having an incident with Homeland Security, where she fingered some musicians non-sexually in the crime way. She fingered them as criminals, in the sky, and caused a plane to get diverted. So,
right. If she'd gone the sexual route, she could have joined the Mile High Club.
Yeah. Instead, she inconvenienced some musicians. That like there's stuff in the Snopes. There's a Snopes write up on this that talks about that like some of them had been flagged for like past crimes in some database. Somewhere like there are people that'll talk about that the musicians actually had some sort of past or whatever.
You said they were Syrians?
Yeah. In 2004. So I don't take,
I think that the asset may be indistinguishable from a lunatic at this point in some cases. That's ridiculous.
So yeah. All right. So I do have a big question for you.
Sure.
And it's honestly we're gonna help out Annie here. So based on the run of titles we have so far, what
Annie,
area of conspiracy should Annie take on next?
Oh, I thought you were gonna ask for a title. Shit, sorry.
I mean, you can title it if you want to. You just have to. Because
okay.
She's covered DARPA, she's covered Area 51, she's covered 9/11.
Yes, we are going with Annie Get Your Gun as the title.
Okay.
She's talking in third person for this one.
Sure.
And she's going to place herself in the shoes of the guy who thinks that Stephen King assassinated John Lennon. She's going to unpack that one, and she's going to bring a totally fresh angle to it. Instead of just plastering it on, the windows of a van, she's going to go third person into the killer's shoes. Stephen King, who we all know shot and killed John Lennon. When did we do that one? That's like years ago.
That was
at this
so
point,
long ago.
Yeah, for those who don't know, there is.
You honestly
of like that.
Yeah, you can make it kind of a double narrative about the guy now and also the assassination of John Lennon.
Sure.
Like you can kind of go back and forth in time. So hey, maybe that's some fertile ground.
Sure. So what's your book about? What is she writing about?
I'm pushing for
it?
something that I think that is actually a possibility because I think it would be really funny to see her
okay.
take on them. I would love for Annie Jacobsen to write a book diving deep into the history of the deep underground military base.
Ooh.
Because I think maybe we'd have some very interesting theories about maglev trains,
Sure.
and various and assorted battles taking place deep underground in bases. I that's a
See,
theory that continues to pop me. And
I do
even
love
though
that.
I know how it, I understand the realities of it that we've gone under in depth in recent times, but I still think it would be interesting to see her take on them. Like,
Sure.
I kind of want to see her do a dumb book the way I want to see her do an MJ-12 book, where it's just like, I think your take would be very revealing on this.
No, I can see it is almost dialectical, right? If she were to do a book about like, if she got into like Dulce bass, right? Like just like, she's gonna develop some new harebrained idea about it, and we're gonna be like, I don't agree, but this does move dialectically, and therefore we'll take it. That could be very interesting. I kind of like it. Okay, yeah, I would definitely be curious. I mean, especially after this Mengele Soviet dwarves German spy plane thing. I would take the Dulce base stuff for sure, like, because she can't just throw out the typical, the Greys got into a fight with military personnel and slaughtered 60 people or whatever. No, less than that. It was like,
it was something like,
I don't remember how many. It doesn't matter.
I forget
because
the
it
number.
didn't happen. But yeah, I would love to see that. You're right. In fact, if she's listening, she should consider both of these. I'm not going to try and copyright either of these ideas right now. So these are free for Mrs. Jacobsen to.
It would be very funny if we wrote, if we copywrote and then wrote a book called Annie Jacobsen's book on deep underground military bases.
That would be funny. That would be funny. Annie Jacobsen presents Annie Get Your Gun and the deep underground military base story. That would be fucking. That would be a blast, and like 1,100 pages long.
Yeah.
Cool. Perfect.
All right. This one was like just. I have like two more things that I'm thinking about doing for Coworker Conspiracies.
I'll be curious what your coworker thinks about what we have to say on this one, for sure.
Yeah, I will be curious as well. I might end up just kind of giving him a digest of it. So, but if anyone has any other Coworker Conspiracies that you've seen on CNN and you're like, what the fuck is that? Send them our way and I'll run them down. Fuck it. This type of stuff is fun for me.
I did have somebody in the wild recently start talking to me because they asked about my podcast. They started talking to me about Jim Carrey being replaced by a doppelganger.
Yep.
And I don't remember what I said. I don't think I went mealy mouthed, but I kind of like dodged the topic a little bit. I was like, haha, yeah, he's probably been copied by a tulpa. Anyways, warm out today, huh? I think that's kind of what I did. So
sometimes that's what you got to do,
Yeah. Anyway.
All right. Well, do you want to take care of some business?
Sure.
If you want to follow us, we're on all of your favorite podcatchers. If you listen to podcasts somewhere, look up It Gets Weird. We're almost certainly there.
We're on Blue Sky at It Gets Weird. Give us a follow there. I'm making sure to start posting there again, so check it out. Twitch.tv/itgetsweird. Hopefully soon we're going to get a chance to finish up that Pokemon run with Colin, friend of the show Colin. Email us, itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. If you have a cool story, or maybe you've heard the quote-unquote coworker podcast, you've had a coworker, somebody random in your life tell you some weird out-of-left-field conspiracy, hit us up. We would love to hear it. Might get read on the show. Just let us know how we should address you, how we should refer to you. And we might talk about it up front on the next show. So please hit us up, itgetsweirdpodcast@gmail.com. But if you want to support us, and I know you do, check out patreon.com/itgetsweird. It's where you're going to go to get tons and tons of bonus content. We have a $1 tier. That's just the tip tier. You're just saying, hey, thanks for doing what you do. Here's $1. But then at the $2 tier, just $1 more, you get a bunch of bonus content. We have our show It Gets Weird TV, where Nile and I talk about weird television. We're in the very end of X-Files Season 3, discussing it in depth. It's super fun. We're loving it. And you get to vote on the next show that we watch. And then for just a couple dollars more, we have the $5 tier. At the $5 tier, you get The World of Weird, a show that comes out in the off weeks of It Gets Weird TV, where Nile and I talk about whatever the hell we want, all kinds of topics. We talked about some stuff related to the main show that didn't make it in. We talk about movies, music, all kinds of stuff. So check it out, $5 tier. It's the most bang for your buck. You get access to all our past bonus content. It is a huge back catalog, so please check it out. You also get access to the show 2 days early on Friday instead of Sunday, and you get access to a Discord where we're hanging out, chatting with our listeners just like you. So donate, patreon.com/itgetsweird. If you can't donate, we get it. You know, money might be tight. We understand. Least you could do is just tell a friend, tell a family member, tell people about It Gets Weird podcast. Let them know we exist, because we don't advertise anywhere, and we honestly may never ever do that. So please tell your friends, tell your enemies, tell your congressman all about It Gets Weird podcast.
All right. Thank you all for listening. Thank you for continuing to support the show. This has been It Gets Weird, and I've been Nile.
And I'm Kyle, signing out.